Hi everyone, it's Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We would really appreciate if you could rate us, ideally with 5 stars, in the apps where you are listening to this podcast. You could also leave a glowing review. This way, more people would learn about the highlights from Ukraine and truths about Russia's invasion. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 378 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. In his evening video address dedicated to the International Women's Day, President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked all women who work, study, rescue, treat and fight for Ukraine. He stressed that it is important to remember those who gave their lives for the country. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Russian troops would have an open road to capture key cities in eastern Ukraine if they seize control of Bakhmut, reports Interfax Ukraine. In an interview with CNN, Zelensky defended his decision to keep Ukrainian forces in the almost besieged city. He said that after Bakhmut, Russians could go further to Kramatorsk, to Sloviansk, to other cities in Ukraine. The president said that Russia wants to achieve at least some victory, a small victory, even by ruining everything in Bakhmut, just killing every civilian there. He said that if Russia is able to put their little flag on top of Bakhmut, it would help mobilize their society in order to create this idea that they are such a powerful army. Earlier, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that the Ukrainian defenses of Bakhmut could be defeated in the coming days, but it would not necessarily be a turning point in the war. The US intelligence community believes that Russia currently lacks the ammunition and troops to make significant territorial gains in Ukraine in 2023. So it may shift to a strategy of holding and defending existing positions, prolonging the war, informs European Pravda based on the report by the New York Times. According to the director of the US National Intelligence, Avril Haines, Russia may choose to continue the war in Ukraine, even if it means long pauses in offensive actions, as the best chance to achieve its strategic goals. Haines also said that in addition to troops losses, Russia is facing critical morale problems and ammunition shortages. If Russia does not initiate mandatory mobilization and does not get significant supplies of munitions from third countries, it will be increasingly difficult for it to maintain the current level of offensive operations in the coming months. As a result, Russian forces can completely switch to holding and defending the territories they occupied. The EU ambassadors approved additional €2 billion to the European Peace Fund, reports Radio Liberty. The European Peace Fund is designed to assist member states in their arms supplies to Ukraine. According to the Swedish presidency of the EU Council, this decision sends a clear signal of the EU's enduring commitment to military support for Ukraine and other partners. Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov said that Ukraine needs 1 million artillery shells, which is likely to require about €4 billion, reports Militarny. At an informal meeting with EU defense ministers in Sweden, Reznikov said that another priorities are air defense systems and more tanks. According to him, with all that, Ukraine will be ready for a counteroffensive. The minister stressed that time saves lives, so decisions should be made as soon as possible. Oleksiy Reznikov stated that Ukraine is not involved in the explosions on the Nord Stream gas pipelines in the Baltic Sea, reports Interfax Ukraine. At an informal meeting with EU defense ministers in Sweden, the Ukrainian defense minister said that this whole story is strange and the official investigation will reveal all the details. This is like a compliment for our special forces, but these are not our actions, said Reznikov. This way he responded to the recent publication by the New York Times linking last year's Nord Stream gas pipeline explosions to pro-Ukrainian forces. However, the article says they have no evidence that the leadership of Ukraine was involved in the operation or that the perpetrators acted on the instructions of any Ukrainian officials. At the same time, it is reported that it is only known that the perpetrators of the explosion were allegedly opponents of Russian President Vladimir Putin. In September 2022, as a result of an explosion, 2 lines of Nord Stream 1 and 1 of Nord Stream 2 were depressurized near the Danish island of Bornholm. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said that Leopard 2 main battle tanks from Germany and Portugal will be delivered to the Ukrainian armed forces by the end of March, reports Interfax Ukraine. Pistorius clarified that he meant 18 German Leopard 2 A6 tanks and 3 Portuguese tanks. He said the tanks will arrive with trained crews, which will allow them to immediately go to the combat zone. Meanwhile, Germany has delivered another batch of military assistance to Ukraine, including 2 Gepard self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. According to the information published on the website of the German government, Berlin also sent to Kyiv circa 6,000 rounds of ammunition. This raises the total number of Gepard guns delivered to Ukraine to 34. The package of assistance also includes 2 border protection vehicles and 6 mobile antenna mast systems. On top of that, 13 Bridge Lane tanks Beaver and 500 pistols SFP-9 are being prepared for transportation or have been delivered to Ukraine. If you like what we do and would like to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as usual, you can subscribe to our Patreon. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.